So you want to have perfect pitch, or maybe you think you already do. The truth is that you probably don't. A lot of people misuse the term perfect pitch, which in music refers to a person with the ability to identify a pitch without any other reference. This would be equivalent to hitting a coffee mug with a pen and then being able to identify the note that is produced from that sound. And most studies note that this is an exceedingly rare talent, with a rate of 1 in 10,000 people, or something like 0.01% of the population. And yet I see people all the time in my comment section misunderstanding perfect pitch. While perfect pitch is likely impossible to learn on your own, relative pitch, the idea of being able to use a reference and then identify other sounds, is absolutely learnable. And here's how you do it. In our equal temperament Western music system, we understand that our 12 notes have relationships between each other. The distance between one note to another is something that we can identify and reproduce, and we call these intervals. And you can train yourself to not only learn, but also reproduce with your voice or your instrument all of these intervals when you have one pitch to get to another. A vocal student will learn with do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, the ability to go from do to ti and then back to do with their voice. And they'll practice it so frequently that they'll be able to do it by memory. So all that needs to happen is somebody gives them their first pitch and they'll be able to give you a ti back to their do. You also might confuse relative and perfect pitch because you'll think to yourself, well, I've been able to sing songs in their perfect key just from memory. But musical memory is also a real thing that you can develop. Since these are all cognitive skills, you can work on visualization tools to help you try to reproduce famous and popular songs without context. You might play a guitar so often that you can recognize when an E string doesn't sound like an E string. Or you might be able to memorize the sound of a C scale and play the C scale whenever you want. And yet this is still not considered perfect pitch. Someone with perfect pitch will notice a very small inaccuracy in the frequency of the note, which means that they can tell otherwise imperceptible differences on whether or not a note is sharp or flat, because they are effortlessly able to hear these pitches the way that they are as quickly as you would be able to see and recognize the color blue. This is actually a downside of perfect pitch. Imagine being constantly tortured with whether or not something is sharp or flat that is imperceptible to the general population. This idea of perfection and knowing that you're never going to get there can be really difficult, especially as a performer. You'll constantly have it in your brain that you're singing something wrong when nobody else around you thinks that you are. And more than that, this can lead to confusion with transposition, or singing songs in not their original keys, or with notes that are slightly tuned to a different system. There's actually quite a few popular songs that are tuned to what we call 432 or 415 hertz instead of 440, which is a small deviation in the frequency of all the notes. And this would annoy the heck out of a person with perfect pitch. So instead of being sad that you probably don't have perfect pitch and probably never will, start to realize that the most valuable skill you can have as a musician is relative pitch, the ability to adjust to any sound that you can hear. And you can get so good at relative pitch that you can play entire songs from melody just by hearing one single note, or be able to sing perfect harmonies just by getting the starting key. Most of the abilities you associate with perfect pitch you can get through relative pitch and good practice and training, like the ability to hear a song and then instantly play it. And the more you practice this stuff, the quicker you can get it to a level where it's basically not any different from perfect pitch at all. And the more you practice all of it, the better you'll get. So I guess today's video is a PSA about what absolute pitch or perfect pitch really is, and a hopeful message to even people that think that their ears are a little bit off, that you can absolutely learn relative pitch and all of the benefits that come with that as a musician. You can support me for free on Patreon with the link in my profile, and listen to my original music on Spotify. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next one.